Perfect. All right, we will get going. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today for the Magmeters webinar. My name is Dania, and I'm the marketing specialist with Cymark, and we'll be working today with Justin from Schneider Electric, who's kind of going to go through the presentation for us. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat or the Q&A, and then we will make sure we answer them afterwards at the end. There will be a recording provided of this. And if you would like the PowerPoint, just reach out to us and we can definitely get that for you. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Justin.
You guys hear me?
Yep, all good.
Okay, so again, thanks everybody for joining us. I know everybody's busy and trying to keep busy. We'll try to keep this short. Half an hour presentation to kind of quickly go over at a high level of our new mag offering. A little bit about me. I'd like to introduce myself for some of you that haven't met me possibly. I am an instrumentation journeyman. I got my ticket in 2012 and I've been with Schneider Electric for going on just about 7 years now. Based in Edmonton, and I cover the entire country of Canada right now. This is kind of a short and sweet agenda of what we're going to be talking about. New line of the tiers of the tubes and the transmitters, as well as high level talk about the diagnostics and the simulator, as well as a little comparison transition from our legacy Foxborough Magmeters to the what we call Magplus new offering line. So just jump into it here. New line in tubes and transmitters. So we'll start with the transmitters. A lot of these slides have a lot of words on them, so as Daniel said, we'll send them out to you guys. I'm not going to read them fully, but I'll try to keep them up there so you guys can kind of read them as we go through it. With the transmitters, there's basically a 3-tier offering, and basically from left to right, depending on what your needs are, whether it's accuracy, electrical classification, or enhanced diagnostics, you kind of work your way from left to right. Obviously, from left to right would obviously be pricing changes, but there is an option depending on the needs of the project and the scope of the project. And all 3 transmitters all are backwards compatible with all the different tube styles. Oops, sorry, jumped one ahead there. I talked about the transmitters quickly there. We'll kind of get into a little more detail about these tubes here. Obviously, there's a bunch of different model codes depending on what your needs might be. Variation between wafer styles, food and beverage connections, as well as flange connections and flange connections for wastewater applications with just the rubber liner with the 9500 there. As well, all 3 of the tiered transmitters below there can go with all the tubes. On the right-hand side is actually a new product that's coming out this year that we'll kind of take a quick sneak peek at. It's a battery-powered mag meter that will be available later this year. As I said, the 9500A, this was kind of designed strictly for wastewater and water applications. Obviously, water applications can be found in basically all industry, whether it's pulp and paper, mineral, oil and gas, iron, steel. I mean, 9500, basically, it is limited to certain liners and certain electrodes. So that's kind of where we would go with the 9500, is if it's a water application. This also has the drinking water approval if that's needed. The 9700 is basically very similar to the 9500, except basically it has more liners to choose from, more electrodes to choose from, depending on what type of slurry or fluid application may be required. But it's basically the same tube, it's just got more variations of liners and electrodes. So you can be putting this into more industries where harsher environments like chemical, the harder pulp and paper applications, things like that. And can be good up to 70% solid content. This is one of the variations of our wafer meters, the 8400A. It would be specifically to PFA liners. It only goes up to, I believe, 6-inch meter, but it's a very cost-effective way to get a mag meter into the system. Again, it can be put into all these industries given here, as well as other industries if the process allows for the liner compatibility. The 8500, this is a ceramic wafer liner. Previously, we used to have up to a 6-inch, and now it's only up to a 4-inch. So it's for very abrasive applications. The ceramic seems to hold up a lot better than a lot of other liners. So it's just something to think about. Obviously, it can be used in acids and very aggressive medias. This is the 9600. This is basically designed for food and beverage, pharmaceuticals, and has all the special process connections for those industries. So if you are working on any project or anything like that for pharma and cosmetics, this is the kind of tube that you would go with to meet all those applications. And it's from 1/10 of an inch to 6-inch meters. So that was pretty high level. Again, there's lots of words and lots of information on there. So I would recommend reaching out to Dania, and we'll send you the PowerPoint and you can review these all fully. And now we'll just kind of jump into the features of of the new mag meter. Sorry, just something's happening here. So basically with the IMT33, this is basically the top of the line transmitter. It has a bunch of self-tests and real-time enhanced diagnostics that are happening in the background constantly. So when you get the IMT33A, you basically get all these diagnostics that basically, if you're working in the field and you think you might be having a problem, whether it's process related, whether it's instrument related, the meter can give you statuses in the left corner that, hey, you maybe need to check this out. Where in the past, it was like, okay, I think our process might be upset, something doesn't seem right, and you just have to roll the meter to basically visually inspect or basically take a micro or a meter out and test loop current and things like that. This kind of gives you that stuff up front, so you can plan a scheduled time to actually roll the meter if that's actually required, or if it's just something simple like process related where, say, you're getting some bubbles in the system or something like that, that you know that you just need to adjust your process. So again, the continuous tests, these are kind of where they're happening. A bunch on the flow tube, a bunch checking the process, and then a bunch checking the transmitter. So basically, if there's ever a malfunction of the meter, you're not going to lose your measurement, but there's a lot of warnings that you could maybe get. that actually still gives you a measurement, but it's letting you know that they think that there might be something going on and you might need to look at it. These are all just really tools for field guys to use. So, and I mean, a lot of different instruments these days are going this direction to give you a lot more diagnostics up front to better plan for outages and things like that. So again, with this, we do meet NMR requirements, and basically NMR requirements for electromagnetic flow meters are all these selections. So that's basically meeting their standards, as well as all these choices. Our advanced diagnostics meet all these on top of NMR. So this is not required to meet NMR, but we have all these extra diagnostics that are built into the IMT33A that you'd also get with this instrument. Next thing up is the simulator. What this is, this allows you to basically disconnect the transmitter from the tube and basically hook up the simulator and simulate flow. So you're basically just testing that the transmitter is actually able to accept the tube's information, and the transmitter is accepting it correctly. With our legacy tubes, we had a simulator similar to it called the IMT Sim, and this one's basically called the IMT Sim 22. It basically does the same thing for testing for your 1 year or 3 month checks on the meter without having to actually pull the tube. Obviously, with Magmeters, grounding is an essential and important thing, and there's a lot of different variations of grounding rings. Obviously, they're all shown here, depending on which liners and things like that are used, may limit you to which grounding rings may be selectable. Obviously, they come in a bunch of different variations, whether it's titanium, platinum, and tantalum. So depending on the need, there's different variations. As well, the IMT33, this is kind of new. With the 33, we're able to handle up to 70% solid content. This is quite a bit of solid, as well as there is an option for virtual grounding. So with virtual grounding, what that means is you may be able to limit the cost up front for your installation, because you may be able to remove the grounding rings and not have to use grounding rings because virtual grounding can be used. So it could be some cost benefit up front. Obviously, this is just a little bit more technical, but usually with Magmeters, 80% of the issues come with grounding. So like I said earlier, traditional grounding, you'd ground to either the bolts or you'd have grounding rings. And now with this virtual reference, if it's selected at the order, you're able to remove the grounding rings or not having to run the cables to the studs of the piping, and basically your cost savings up front. Obviously, with the virtual grounding, there are limitations. So fluids need to have conductivity above 200 microsiemens per centimeters. That's still pretty low, but it is something to think about. But it is an option for you guys if cost is an issue, so you can save some money there. As well, Flow Expert Pro, we do sizing for all the meters just to verify that the process conditions meet what the meter is able to do. We provide these through Cymark with all our quotes generally, as well as if any customers want to go on flowexpertpro.com, anyone can get on there. You can run sizing for all our different meters at any time. It's free, it's accessible to everyone, so that's a pretty good tool. Quick jump to the battery mag. This is coming out this year, so I'll just quickly go to the next slide here. Basically, it's coming out this year. It's a little different. It's obviously battery powered, and the design of the rectangular flow tube design allows us to have basically minimal upstream and downstream requirements, so it can be put into the tighter areas. This is going to be used in, water distribution areas, some areas where you can't run cable to, or it's hard to run cable to, irrigation, dewatering, stuff that might be mobile, things like that. But something to keep an eye open for, and there'll be more information available once it's released. All right, so we'll just quickly kind of go through a little bit high level of our legacy Magmeters, and then show you just kind of some quick comparisons to the Magplus that I kind of already went over. So basically, our legacy Magmeters had reached end of life just recently. So basically, that was the 8,000 meters, the 200 or 2,800 meters, the 8,300, the 9,100, the 9,200, and the 9,300. And the transmitters that went with them were the IMT-25 and the IMT-96. So those are gone and are basically being replaced with this new tier offering. So obviously the 8,000 is the wafer meters, which would move to the 8,400 and the 8,500. And then that would be dependent on which liners would be required, whether it's PFA or ceramic. The 8,300 and the 2,800 and the 9,100 and the 9,300 would be replaced with the 9,500 and the 9,700. Again, it's going to be dependent on your liner and your electrode requirements, as well as how big of a spot you have in your piping to fit it, things like that. If you guys are familiar with the 2,800, they were a very large meter, and they were a lot longer than regular standard meters. They were designed way before ISO lay lengths were out there. So with that, we do offer spool pieces. So if you do have a 2,800 or a 9,300, you can order a spool piece, and then it'll come with your mag meter, and then it'll fit exact dimensions as your 2,800 if it's a 2,800 replacement. Obviously, I quickly touched on the transmitters. Again, we're going from the IMT-25 and the IMT-96 over to the IMT-30 and the IMT-31 and the IMT-33. Again, it's going to be dependent on electrical classification and what bells and whistles you guys would like with your transmitter, whether it's a backlit display, enhanced diagnostics, things like that. Another other thing to mention is there is a little bit of backwards compatibility when it comes to the new transmitters being able to hook up to the old tubes. It isn't recommended, and with our new tubes and transmitters, the price point to switch your transmitter and your tube is very good. So I do recommend, get a new transmitter with the new tube, just so it's fully compatible. Because if you do end up using a new transmitter on an old tube, you'll be limited to what you can get. You'll be able to get a flow rate. You won't be able to get the diagnostics. It has to be the tube and the transmitter. But if there are some applications out there that require a little bit of backwards compatibility, we can try to work with you guys to see if we can make it work. Obviously, this is one of my last slides. This is our technical assistance center, as well as email, and that's basically right in Foxborough, Massachusetts. And you guys, anyone can send questions, remarks to that. I obviously do try to ask you to reach out to Cymark first, because they're your direct distributor and contact when it comes to sales and service. So I have their information there as well. I'm getting close to my 20-minute mark here, so this is actually perfect. So this is actually my last slide. So thanks for all your participation in this, and if you guys have any questions, you can just put them in the question group chat there. Make sure you've chosen all panelists and attendees, or I don't know if Dania can open up the chat for mics for everyone too.
I do see a question in the question and answer, Justin. I don't know if you can see it, but I can read it out if you can't.
Oh, hold on. So the ANSI rating are 150 and 300 for the new tubes. We're working on getting a higher ANSI rating besides beyond 300 and ANSI 150. Is there any other questions? I mean, if you guys do have any other questions, feel free to email your SciMark representation, and I can help them answer those questions for you if they can't, and we can go from there.
Looks like there are no more. So yeah, like Justin said, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. We will send out the link to the video with our thank you email. And if you'd like to see the PowerPoint as well, just reach out to us. But with that, thanks everyone for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday.
Thanks, guys.